You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Doctor Who After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Doctor Who After Show.
Yeah!
Here it comes. I'm sure you guys don't want to hear our interpretive dance and singing.
Yeah.
Hello, greetings, Whovians. Bangs for doing, and what are we doing? Another special edition Classic Who wrap-up here on AfterBuzz.
Oh, yeah.
It's season 17, episode 2. What?
City of Death.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And I have to say, I liked it.
It was a good episode.
I liked it.
Solid episode.
Let's say first and foremost, thanks for tuning in. Please do make sure to subscribe if you're listening to this on iTunes. Subscribe on iTunes.
Yes.
Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Leave us sweet comments. We love it.
We love it. We
eat
try
it
to
up.
respond to as many as possible. We love talking to you.
We do. It is the nectar of our very lives. And
Indeed.
you can go ahead and tweet us right now. I am at JRothC, JROTHC.
And I am Matt Lieberman, at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. And, of course, the lovely and talented Jennings Roth Cornett.
Exactly, which leads me to my actual name. It's so funny that I was like, I have said our Twitter handles before. I have said our
Yes.
actual names, which tells you a little bit about the times we live in, people.
Yes.
I am Jennings Roth Cornett, here, your faithful Doctor Who host with my wise and wonderful co-host.
Yes, Matt Lieberman. I just want to say, I miss our MIDI Doctor Who theme from last week.
I do too.
The last episode.
It was so mitty.
It was so fun. I just want to say, anyone out there who is listening who hasn't seen the episode, it is available on Netflix
Yes.
streaming. You should definitely check it out.
You should.
Yes, this is actually my favorite Classic Who episode.
This is my second Classic Who, and
Yeah.
it is my favorite as well.
So
that's
far.
not saying quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I will say I had a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna and I, if anybody watched or listened, Jenna and I both kind of had a challenge getting past some of the production value,
Yes.
some of the acting.
Yes.
It's certainly the companion in last week's episode, though I didn't love the intricate
The
storyline.
story.
But man, I loved this. I
know.
really loved this.
I know, and I think a large part of it is Tom Baker's Doctor, which
It's 1,000% Tom Baker's
I know.
Doctor.
He's so fantastic in the role, and I believe it was Father Geek who got at me before the show saying, this episode is so indicative of why he is the most beloved classic Doctor.
And I gotta say, I get it, people. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a tough act to follow. I was just
know.
sitting there going, and this is exactly what the Doctor needs to be.
Yeah.
We love our doctors.
I know. And you can see like a lot of Matt Smith's performance and definitely shades of David
Yes.
Tennant you can see in Tom Baker's approach. And it also informs why Peter Davison's Doctor is so different.
Right.
You couldn't do the same thing twice.
No, you couldn't. But and I gotta say though, I mean, it's funny because in doing a little bit of research on this,
Yeah.
the initial, although the ratings were really high for this episode,
It was the highest rated episode ever at the time.
right.
Yeah.
So it was popular. I mean, I think in part wasn't it due to the strike, ITV strike?
Yeah, ITV was off the air temporarily, starting with the second week of transmission.
Right.
It was 4 episodes over 4 weeks, so people started tuning in, and by the 4th episode, 16 million people tuned in to see how this story ended.
Yeah, and who can blame them? Because, I mean, I will say this, like, I had a hectic weekend. I sat down to watch it, and I went 94 minutes.
How am I going to do it? And then it
just flies right by.
It just flew right by. It's so breezy and fun, but at the same time, it's built on a classic and very interesting sci-fi concept.
Yes.
And I think that that's what makes it so successful, is you're having tons of fun watching it, but then the more you think about, not only was our villain Count Scarleone, or Scaroth, the last... Scaroth.
Thank you very much. I did kind of...
At Scaroth C. The last of the Jaggeroth. Not only was he splintered across time, he wasn't a time traveler. He was literally existing
in multiple realities,
in multiple points in time at the same time.
Right? Yeah, they weren't multiple realities. They were I guess time changes your reality. But anyway, that's a whole different philosophical discussion.
That's a whole different thing. But, like, racing to stop him, the fate of humanity in the balance, all starting with this relatively fun, Parisian art caper.
Yeah, exactly.
That leads to this big thing.
Well, and I think the cool thing about it too is that it's got kind of multiple genres in one, like we're discussing. It's got sort of the caper Pink Panther vibe to it. I love and then it's got this classic sci-fi conceit, like you're saying, but even not so classic. Do you know what I mean?
It was different.
It's really unique, actually, the idea that this man is conscious of him, not just had lived all this time, but is existing in fragments through all these periods of time.
Shaping history and watching the things develop right in front of him.
And that, I mean, and this is kind of a classic, well, it's a very popular theory that human life was spawned in one way or another by some kind of alien life form. And this, of course, says, yes, absolutely. It was this accidental explosion that, and also, I mean, it's kind of like, beautiful, the idea that this will bring us to an interesting point. The idea of the end of this one race birthed another, which was us. But what's interesting to me is that the Doctor makes it very clear that we're the priority, that the human race is the priority, that he's unwilling to save this other race.
Well, it's also because he said the Jaggeroth are not a good people.
Right.
He knew about them. Father Wizard tweeted at us, it's odd how the 10th Doctor acted like he had never met Shakespeare before, unless 4 was lying, and then he did hashtag the Doctor lies. As you remember, in season 3 of the new series, the Shakespeare Code, he's so excited having met Shakespeare, but Father Wizard, he didn't go visit Shakespeare. He went to go visit Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, he did. He visited da Vinci.
Yeah.
And he left him notes.
Yes.
on all 7 of the Mona Lisa.
I know, which is it's just so much fun.
I want to talk just for a minute about Tom. I'm looking up his name right now. Tom Chabon as Dougan.
Yeah.
Okay, can we talk about Dougan, you guys? Because here's another thing that I really enjoyed about this. It's like a 4-episode arc that has this basic mini companion who is Dougan, who they pay off his tendency to just willy-nilly punch people in the face.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
It's this joke that's running through.
Because he's the complete opposite of the Doctor. He goes, he punches first, asks questions later, and then he punches Scaroff in the face, and saves humanity. Saves humanity. The punch that saved humanity.
Exactly. The punch that reverberated through time. And I loved. Go ahead.
Yeah. Dougan's never going to fully understand what happened.
Right. And they hired him. Didn't they hire him basically because
he looked like Tintin?
He looked like Tintin.
Yeah.
And he has that kind of caper Tintin, like we've been saying,
the blonde
vibe.
coif and the trench coat, running around in Paris. And this was the first Doctor Who episode to be shot on location outside of the UK.
Yeah. And so it's funny because last week I'd been saying I felt like perhaps some of what felt stale to us was because it was all on stages and it was all really obviously on stages.
Yeah.
And then here you have this fun, lively in Paris and all of Paris around you. But really, okay, I just can't stress enough, because my other understanding too is that though it was very popular, there was some resistance to the comedic tone of it, to like the full on,
That's true.
You even you have the Monty Python cameo, and
John Cleese does an amazing cameo. Here's the thing: like Douglas Adams rewrote this script. He was a script editor at the time, the writer of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Which, if you haven't, you really need to like get your towel.
Is a classic, and yes. So it's kind of like Dinosaurs on a Spaceship in a way, where it went so broad, compared to other episodes of its time period, that it seemed a little off. It seemed like an outlier. I know a lot of critics didn't like Dinosaurs on a Spaceship the way that we did, in the room. But I think that they were really
funny. That's an interesting comparison. Yeah.
They were playing this episode as a comedy.
Right.
There was that madcap kind of element to it, which I think just works so well because the Doctor is a madman with a box.
He's
not going to make sense. He's going to have a great time while he's doing it.
And the thing is too, it feels it feels a little bit sort of that very British humor, and I'm trying, I'm desperately trying to think who is the playwright? Who is the playwright that I'm thinking of? Gwendolyn. Tweet this to me immediately. This Ernest. The importance of being earnest.
The importance of being earnest.
Who's the playwright?
Someone tweeted us.
Okay, so anyway, it's going to drive me absolutely batty right now, and it's just because I'm exhausted. I can't think of it because I love this play, The Importance of Being Earnest. And anyway, that kind of a vibe where it's like he says the opposite. It's full of literal like irony. You know what I mean? In terms of like, what a lovely butler. He's so violent.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very quotable episode.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to talk about the Tom Baker, how he deals with villains, how he deals with his companion, and how he deals with Dougan.
Yes.
Like he's dismissive in the same way that Peter Davison was, but you've got that warmth behind it that I feel like was lacking. Like, he's the kind of person...
He's got a real affection for them.
Yeah, if he insults you, you're going to shrug it off because it's all in fun.
Well, and like I say, I mean, it's very obvious that he's being indulgent of Dougan.
Yeah.
He's just, Dougan!
Oh, you crazy kid.
You crazy kid, punching everybody.
I don't get enough people like you on my adventures.
I know.
I need to take one of you with me next time I go.
By the way, we've been told that we are such hoppy frauds.
Happy Fruits? By what?
By Father Wizard.
Oh, Father Wizard.
But Father Wizard, tell me who the playwright I'm thinking of. It's going to drive me mad, and I know who it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, and I think we should also discuss is Romana, who our biggest pet, like I think one of our biggest pet peeves
with
last
the caves
week
of Androzani
was Perry.
Who was weak.
Well, okay, Perry was basically a suitcase of human flesh that he dragged around with her.
Fair enough.
She just didn't add anything. She didn't do anything but sit there and be pretty. Romana, however, time lady.
She's a time lady.
She is a time lady in her very own right. She's not quite as...
The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde.
Oscar Wilde. How could I have done... I'm ashamed. I know you're all going to yell at me for forgetting Oscar Wilde.
Thanks, John. John in the booth.
Thank you, John in the booth.
You're the man.
No problem.
You absolutely should blast me for know that this is 1,000% due to lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Oscar Wilde, my God, what's wrong with me? But didn't it have sort of that Oscar Wilde dialogue feel?
It just kind of popped like a 30s screwball almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In any event.
Yeah. Romana the Time Lady, one of two companions.
Romana 1 and Romana 2.
Yes, but also one of two companions ever to not be human.
Right.
She was also the only companion to ever have regeneration, unless you count River's song as a companion. She's not really an official companion.
She's not, but she kind of is.
Yeah.
But okay, so listen to this.
Yeah.
Father Wizard also says Romana, both 1 and 2, is the best classic companion until Ace, though Sarah Jane really trumps all the classics overall, in my humble opinion.
I agree with that. 100%, actually.
Yeah. Well, I'm really into Romana.
Yeah. She's super smart. She makes one error in the episode, which to me was handled poorly for the time.
Yeah.
Like I thought when she agreed to do it, I thought that she had like a plan to make it fail. and to stop him.
Right.
Which ultimately didn't really come to pass.
I think what happens with Doctor Who, and I think that it just by default, the Doctor has to be the one to save the day.
That's true.
Ultimately. Although, I mean, we have had, in like What Lies Beneath, she was sort of 2 steps ahead of him, but that was more an act of faith.
Oh, the Beast Below?
Pardon me, What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
That's a terrible movie if you've ever seen it.
The Beast Below, season 5.
Season 5 with the space whale, where Amy sort of takes that leap of faith.
Yeah.
And is a couple steps ahead of him about what the creature's going to do.
Exactly.
But that wasn't so much outsmarting him as just faithing him.
Exactly. Is just really, putting faith in good, really.
Yeah.
And not being sucked in by the darkness that sometimes clouds these adventures. I love Romana's energy because she's smart. When the Doctor goes back in time to Leonardo da Vinci, she takes over. She's handling it.
Yeah.
She's telling Dougan what to do. She takes no prisoners, in my opinion. I love that she was in charge of her wardrobe, and she chose this kind of like schoolgirly outfit, just so that like any girl who has to wear one of those at school and hates it might think it was just a little bit cooler.
A little bit cooler, yeah. I mean, I think there's a great rapport. There's an odd sort of. It's not quite a romance. It's a very odd dynamic between them because she does act kind of best friendy in that she's like, she sort of spars with him verbally, but they'll also hold hands while crossing the street, which I thought was very sweet.
I know. Well, I think it's the most equal partnership we've ever seen with the Doctor, and this is also the episode where
other than River Song.
That's true.
Yeah.
But this is also the episode where Tom Baker and Lalla Ward fell in love in real life and eventually married for a short time.
This is new, you guys. This is new gossip, and I'm so delighted, right? Because it was the moment when he grabbed her hand. I was like, that is perhaps like the most romantic thing we've ever seen on Doctor Who.
The Doctor and his companion shooting on the streets of Paris. How could you not fall in love?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, especially with the two of them who. Okay, so I think that we're agreed that Tom Baker, what would you get?
Douglas Reese tweeted, have you noticed that the TARDIS gets parked in a lot of museums over the years?
It does.
It really does. The Doctor loves museums.
The Doctor does love museums, and good for him. I'm in favor of museums,
We all should love more museums.
Although I did love his sort of take on the Mona Lisa,
Yeah.
It's very pretty. Isn't it? And he sort of, I mean, it's fun that he brings it down to that. I think that this is what's really fun to me about that, is that he does ultimately bring it down to that level. Like, well, doesn't it really just matter what the painting looks like? I mean, he's sort of like taking away a lot. Because then John Cleese comes in and he's like the picture of, that conversation.
The upper crusty art critic.
The upper crusty art critic is really.
The fact that it does not belong.
Yeah. Is why it precisely. Why it does belong.
Yes, it's so brilliant. And then
it just like
disappears and they're like, brilliant,
phenomenal, magic, splendid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know if you know, there's this painting called Black Square.
No.
Okay, and it's a black square. That's all it is, right? And so there's this whole thing. I mean, you study it, right?
Yeah.
Because basically the whole point of the painting is that people are going to assign meanings to it. And so everyone's like, it means this, it means that. But ultimately, the point of the painting is that human beings are meaning makers, and we will make meaning out of whatever, whether it's there or not,
it's
essentially.
True.
Which, but I thought it was really funny for him to kind of like, don't you remember that lady? She wouldn't sit still. She had no eyebrows, Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
People love it.
Yeah, I know. But he also called it one of the greatest treasures in the universe.
Right,
and he wouldn't stop spouting on it when Romana was like, shut up. No one knows about the universe. You're drawing attention. I don't care.
Let them stare.
Let them stare at me.
Lisa, what's wrong with you?
And that to me was like a very, like, Matt Smith totally stole that part of his energy of just like, it's fantastic. How can I not talk about it?
And yell at you because you don't get it.
Exactly.
Romana, what's wrong with you, you heathen? But I think that's maybe the energy that we like about this Doctor, or that I do, is that he has that dual side of really appreciating the artistry of it to that degree that it'll get so impassioned.
Yeah.
But he also is pretty down to earth and funny.
Yeah.
know, and kind of like can take the piss out of it too.
It's true. I think that he's having a ball.
We're getting really British.
He's having a ball, like uncovering Scarleone's plot, Scaroth's plot.
Scaroth.
Played by the great Julian Glover, who was also in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Nice.
Yes.
Who was he in Indiana
He's the
Jones?
villain. He's the guy who's working with the Nazis.
Nazis.
Yeah.
I hate Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. Really quick, I just want to reiterate, you guys, we love you. You love us, obviously. And you love the show. You love the show. So please like and subscribe on iTunes and tell your friends about the show. Tweet it out to your folks. Hey, does anyone else love Doctor Who as much as I am? Whether you're a fan of the classic shows from way back or you're exploring them with us, right alongside us. Let's all do it together. I can think of no worse time during the year when Doctor Who is not on, which is the majority of the year, and it is the worst time.
It's sad. It's sad.
Guys.
It is sad, and please do, yes, keep on with us as we head towards Christmas.
Yes.
And Clara.
And did you know, Roth? That AfterBuzz TV produces over 50 shows a week.
You don't say.
About a variety of different shows. 1.5 million downloads a week across the entire planet. So if you like this show, there's probably another show that we make that you love.
Yes.
Roth and I are going to be on the Homeland podcast, which is taping later this evening.
It's at 8 o'clock today. Well, we'll watch it at 7, and it usually happens about 8-ish. Sometimes we start a little bit late.
Yeah.
Guys, it's actually 11 million a day.
11 million a day.
A day, you say?
1 point.
1 million.
We're all over the place with our numbers today.
Okay, guys.
And 11 a week.
Definitive numbers. 1.5 million a day, 11 million a week.
That is impressive.
Yeah, so if you're watching online right now, if you're streaming with us, stay tuned. We've got Dexter coming. We've got Homeland coming. We've got Boardwalk Empire coming later tonight. Great lineup this evening.
And I definitely tune in for our Homeland, because this is Matt's coming on for the first time on Homeland. I'm really curious to see what he's going to say about it, what your take.
I got a lot to say.
We get into some heated discussions on that one. It's fun.
I'm going to put someone on blast.
Blast it.
Yes.
Okay, so hey, let's move on. Should we talk about Scaroth?
Scaroth.
I know it's Scaroth, but in my mind, it is Scaroth.
Okay.
But of the Jaggeroth. Okay, let's discuss how cool of an idea it is. Again, let's circle back to the idea that he, through his accident, birthed mankind and then ushered mankind. You alluded to the idea that that's reflective of the silence. And
it is.
The silence is done.
Well, the silence, we had no idea that they were here, but they've been shaping human history for generations.
Right.
And you've got Scaroth, who at his multiple points through history is shaping our existence. In a way, we are just a means to an end for him to get back to where he was.
Back to where he wanted to go.
He not only is responsible for the birth of life on Earth, but he shepherded us in our development. If this was real, he would have shepherded us and our development throughout history.
Right.
We required him to become the race we are today.
He does, but that's what's interesting to me about this.
Yeah.
That he does have a real clear idea of why he's doing what he's doing. I think the silence, sometimes I was like, what's the deal with you guys in the suits?
They just like having control.
Yeah, they just
and they're
like
working towards something.
But we don't yet know. I mean, it may end up being that that's a very crystal clear kind of a
But try this on for size. So so we've got Scaroth at his multiple points in history, including 1979. 1979, and I believe it was some point in the 1530s.
Well, yeah,
he was in.
It was like 1533 or when was the Mona Lisa? I don't know. Something. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it was 1530. It was like I think 1537 is when I think they said.
Okay.
Someone can clarify for us if they want, but so he was there before he had made any of these changes to speed us up. So all at once, he saw the ever-changing timelines of history.
Which is basically what the Doctor does.
Yeah, which I think would drive someone mad.
Right.
Truly.
Yeah, no, it definitely would. I mean, I think that we get the sense that one thing, too, is that this is really a villain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, and I couldn't care a whit that I'm going to kill all these people. Twirl, mustache twirl. But yes, I mean, we get the sense that that would drive any being mad to sort of have all of that information at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even keep track of what I've had for lunch today.
That's true.
Personally.
It's a busy weekend.
It's been a busy weekend.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot. I like that you're alluding to that it's reflective of the silence. I think it's just something fun to chew on as a notion.
Especially as you're watching the episode and like I can just imagine, seeing these 4 parts separately and having to wait a week and seeing him show up in the past and know who the doctor was. I would be like, what, is he a time traveler? What is this? But no, it's something far more interesting.
Exactly. So much more interesting than that. And we could keep talking about this forever, you guys, but we can't because we're only here for a half an hour today.
Yes.
So takeaways from this are what?
That Tom Baker is just a legend.
Yes.
He's fantastic.
And rightly so.
I think this show, while it has many great episodes that deal with heavy themes, when it embraces the humor inherent in the character of the Doctor and his situation, I think that is when the show is really running on all cylinders.
Yeah.
It is a fun show that can go to dark places.
Yeah.
And I think that the episodes that really emphasize that level of fun, for me, are the best episodes.
Okay. I mean, I like it all, but I think that what this has going for it that I really, really like is what we were talking about at the beginning was the ability to kind of smoothly, and it's funny too, because I did a podcast earlier today, which I'll tweet out later, with Stephen Prescott, who does the Madman with a Box podcast. And we talked about, in the time of the angels. And because what I like about that is that it takes a lot of different ideas and really cohesively puts them together, and it's very cohesively. And I think that's what I like about this 4-episode arc too, is that it takes a lot of different tones, it takes a lot of different genres, it takes a couple new characters, and a really big idea about the history of the nature of man.
It's true. And when you start the episode, in episode 1, you've got this really beautiful montage of Romana and the Doctor, visiting Paris, and you've got this piano score.
So it's kind of like it feels like a little...
Like a romance, and then it becomes this madcap caper, and then it becomes this, the Count has us locked up in the basement, and then it's a race against time.
And then it's a race against time, and then it's high concept sci-fi, too, all together. And I think that's when I think the show is really at its best, is when it can tie all that together.
I'm also for
the relationships.
Yeah, I'm also for any episode where they're visiting multiple time periods in one episode.
I am for that too, and multiple locations in one episode. I'm for that too. I think that ultimately, though, you're right, is that humor that comes out, and and forgive me again about the Oscar Wilde thing, but it is that particularly kind of like everything is the opposite of what you think it should be. Ironic British wit that I just love and adore, and I think is really, really so clever and fun. And I think that's what the Doctor can do better than anyone.
It's true. And just going back to my point, even Blink, which is such a straight up thriller, breaks the tension with moments of comedy.
Yes.
The whole sequence with the DVD is so funny.
So funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that that was really my biggest issue with a lot of episodes in season 6 is like that they didn't lean on that button enough, like the almost people, and like that 2-parter to me was just very dry.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. All right, so takeaway is that we loved it. Hey, listen, you guys, thanks again for sticking with us. Thanks for tuning in on the Sundays when I am running on fumes.
Yes. Next week, we will be watching Spearhead from Space. That is John Pertwee's first serial, the first episode of season 7. It is available on Netflix. I believe it is also available on Amazon streaming as well.
Make sure to watch it. Tune in with us. Leave your comments. Subscribe.
Yes.
Follow us on Twitter. Once again, I am at JROTHC, JROTHC.
At Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. Stay tuned for us on Homeland later tonight.
Thank you.
All right, we love you guys.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.